Hello and welcome to tutorial 222. In the last tutorial 221, we created what we called a big point ruler, and this showed how many points instrument would need to move to be the equivalent of a certain price, which was a user input. This program is very, very similar in many ways, except what we're now doing is we're drawing one rectangle above the highest high of the current price representing target, and another bar below the lowest low of the current price representing the stop loss. So just a way of giving ourselves an idea of how much the instrument would need to move to make those certain prices based on the big point values. And if we look at the inputs, you'll see that we've got an input for the target value, for the stop value, and the number of contracts. And incidentally, just while we're here, I'm just going to mention that I've modified the program a little bit. So the timer update is now set as a user input, and that is the number of seconds that it will cause a refresh of the chart. They are the inputs. Oh, of course, the target color and the stop color also. The color of the rectangles. Let's have a look at the new program, which in many ways is very similar. It's probably worth having a look at tutorial 221 if you're interested in this, but probably one of the major changes, because we've now got two rectangles, is I've modified this method a little bit. So first of all, it's now returning a rectangle, whereas before it just created the rectangle in the method. So we return the rectangle here. We've also got an input of the rectangle, and the reason for that is because we've got two different rectangles. We put each one into when we call this method, into the method, and then if the rectangle exists, we can just update the start point and the end point, as you can see down here, as we actually had before. The other change I've made is I've now added the color as an input as well, and that is called in another new method that I've created called redraw. And what this does is it just calls each ruler in turn. So for example, the TGT rect, say TGT rect equals draw rectangle, and then that is actually an input into this function. And we've also got the target color, or I should say this method. And similarly for stop rect, that is an input into this draw rectangle as well. When that goes in there, if it doesn't exist, it would be drawn. If it does exist, it would be modified in terms of the position and size. So I mentioned that I've made the timer interval a user input, and you can see it there in the actual timer. Calling this redraw method, we're doing that on the last bar of the chart, each tick. We're also calling it a resize of the charting host. We'll do a redraw, and then with the timer we actually do a recalculate exception. So apart from that, not really that much difference from the previous program. And as I said before, you probably may or may not be familiar with some of the syntax, but not to be concerned, because what you can do in each case, for example, you could go to charting host, click on that in the toolbox, and then having created that, you can go to the view design generated code, and you can see the code that we need to copy into our program. And what we could also do, if we just go back to our program here, is click on that, make sure we've got properties selected, and then if we have events, we've got a number of events there, and we could say, okay, well, we just want to be testing in this case for on size, so we just go to this blank area here, then double click, and you'll see that would then create some code in our actual program. But also, again, if we go back to the designer generated code, you can see that there's some syntax here that we're also going to need to include in our program. So I'm just explaining that by means of how you can explore some of this code that you may not be familiar with, or you may just want to refresh your mind on what the syntax is. So hopefully that might be useful, and let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to make it available for download, and also available for download at no additional cost for GoldPass members. Thank you very much.